How can marathon runners run 4 to 5 hours without taking any break? What is the energy secret of marathon runners? At the end of this lesson, I'm going to reveal the energy secret of marathon runners. So today's topic is biological oxidation, redox potential. So this is part 4 of bioenergetics. In the previous lesson, we learn about bioenergetics, thermodynamics, and phosphoryl group transfers and ATP. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about the oxidation reduction processes, redox potentials, how it is working in biological systems, electron transport chain, and finally oxidative phosphorylation. First of all, what is oxidation and reduction? So these are the definitions of oxidation reduction: addition of oxygen, removal of hydrogen, and loss of electrons. For example, ferrous ion, which is losing about 1 electron, so this is called oxidation, and it is converting into ferric ion. And the ferric ion, which is accepting 1 electron and converting into ferrous ion, so this is called reduction. The same reaction, oxidation is occurred, in the same simultaneously reduction is also occurred. So these type of reactions are also called to be redox reactions. Redox potential. So here this redox potential will be giving the information about electron affinities, and it will be measured by electron transfer potential, that is E naught values. Here these redox potentials will be two types. The first one is low redox potentials and high redox potentials. The component which is having low redox potential, which is producing three important properties. The first one is low electron affinity. So these components doesn't want any electrons. It is having low containing of electrons, and these components are having negative redox potential values. E naught values will be negative. And the third property is, these components has greater tendency to lose electrons. And the second type is called high redox potentials. The components which are having high redox potentials are also producing three important properties. The first one is high electron affinity, and second one is more positive redox potential values, and third one is these components has greater tendency to accept electrons. So low redox potential components will be releasing electrons, high redox potential components will be accepting electrons. So in the electron transport chain, these two types of components are present, and here electrons will be transported from low redox potential components to high redox potential components, which will be explained in the later slides. So this is the picture. Here it is indicating the electron transport pathway. Here electron transport will be starting from NADH, which is having lower redox potential values, and electron transport will be ending with oxygen, which is having higher redox potential values. Here electron transport will be starting from lower redox potential values to higher redox potential values, and here electrons will be passing from NADH to FMN, then coenzyme Q, cytochrome B, C1, C, A3, and finally it is reaching to oxygen, and which will be useful for the oxidative phosphorylation. So these different components which are having different redox potential values. So these are the different redox potential values of different components. And here these negative values, which are having low redox potentials of these components like NADH and FAD, coenzyme Q, complex 3, complex 2. So these are all producing minus or negative redox potential values. So that means here NADH will be starting the electron transport system. The electron will be transported from this point, and finally here at this point, oxygen is producing higher redox potential values. So that means here electron transport system will be ended. So these are the standard redox potential values of different reductants. So these are the n values, valency values, and these are the standard potential values. Here negative values will be present here for these components, and positive values will be present here for these components. And the next topic is electron transport chain. So this is very much important topic. So to know the energy release from the cells, so how the this system will be explaining how the energy will be released from the mitochondria. So here this electron transport chain is occurred in mitochondria, especially in inner mitochondrial membrane. This is the mitochondrial outer membrane, this is inner membrane, and in between intermembrane space is present. Here 5 important components which will be involved in the electron transport chain. So complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this complex 5 is also called to be ATP synthase, so which will be useful for the synthesizing ATPs at the end of the process. And these complexes will be useful as carriers of electrons. Here electron will be starting from here. So at this point electrons will be started and it will be carried by these components, and finally these electrons will be coming here, and here oxygen will be oxygen is taking these electrons and along with hydrogen, and it is converting into water. So this oxidative phosphorylation will be occurred in the matrix region of mitochondria. The entire process will be explained in later slides. So these are the 5 important components that we have learned already. So these are the 5 important learns. So complex 1, so which is called to be NADH dehydrogenase. Here the enzyme is involved is NADH dehydrogenase. So which is a complex. So it is having a coenzymes. Enzyme is also supported with the coenzymes. And complex 2, which is called to be succinate dehydrogenase. So which is having a coenzyme of FAD. And complex 3, so which is having cytochrome B to C1. So this is the complex C. Here complex 3, so which is having cytochrome B to C1, so which is also called to be cytochrome reductase. And this is complex 4, so which is called to be cytochrome A and A3. It is a combination of some cytochrome A and A3, and which is also called to be cytochrome oxidase. And complex 5 is called to be ATP synthase. So here ATP will be synthesized at this region. And this electron transport chain, here 2 mobile components also present as coenzymes, that is coenzyme Q and coenzyme cytochrome C. So this is the coenzyme Q, so which will be useful for carrying electrons from these components to this component. And here cytochrome C, so which is also present here at this region, so which will be useful for carrying electrons from this complex to this complex. So these are mobile components which are present in ETG. So electron transport chain, so which is also called to be respiratory chain. So why? Because here oxygen is involved in this process for the release of ATPs, and which will be occurred in inner mitochondrial membrane, especially in the matrix region. So for carrying this electron transport chain, so here it requires 5 important components that we have already learned. Complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these complexes are protein nature, so which are bound in a membrane. So that's why this is called membrane bound components. And complex 1 to 4 is useful for the transport of electrons, and complex 5 will be useful for synthesizing ATPs. And in this electron transport chain, here we are having mobile components like coenzyme Q and cytochrome C. So here electron transport chain will be starting from low redox potential values to high redox potential values. That means the electron transport will be going towards increasing redox potential values. So this is the overall picture of the function of electron transport chain. Here carbohydrates, fatty acids and amino acids will be oxidized and it is giving carbon dioxide along with NADH and FADH. And these NADH and FADH coenzymes so will be entering into mitochondrial place, and these coenzymes will be releasing H plus ions and electrons, and finally it is reaching to complex 5 region, and these electrons and H plus ions will be useful for formation of ATPs. Finally, the ATPs will be produced from the mitochondrial region. So due to formation of NADH by the oxidation of these compounds. So energy-rich compounds like carbohydrates, fatty acids, amino acids are oxidized to form carbon dioxide and water. So when these compounds are oxidized, so it is producing some hydrogen and electrons, so which will be attaching with NAD and FAD. So these are the coenzymes and forming NADH and FADH. And these coenzymes which is containing hydrogen ions, so it will be reaching to mitochondrial place and it will be involved in the electron transport chain, and finally it will be useful for formation of ATP. So this is the organization of ETC, so electron transport chain. So here two important processes will be occurred. So first one is formation of water. So here, so water will be formed at this region. So hydrogens will be reacting with oxygen along with electrons and forming a water at this region. And second one is formation of ATPs. So here ATPs will be synthesized at this region, at the complex 5 region. This is called ATP synthase enzyme. So here the ATP synthase enzyme which will be involved for the formation of ATPs. And the next topic is oxidative phosphorylation. In the oxidative phosphorylation, two processes will be occurred. So first one is oxidation step and second one is phosphorylation step. In the oxidation step, here water molecules will be formed. So here this oxidation step will be occurred at the complex 4 region. So where protons are reacting with oxygen in the presence of electrons and forming water. And here protons will be produced by NADH and FADH2. And oxygen which is available in the cell, which is available in the matrix, will be reacting with these hydrogens and forming water. So this is called oxidation step. So oxidation is occurred at complex 4 of electron transport chain. And the second step is called to be phosphorylation step. Here ATPs will be produced and this step will be occurred at complex 5, so which is ATP synthase. So this is the process of oxidative phosphorylation. So here water molecules will be produced here and here ATP will be synthesized. So this entire process will be explained by chemoosmotic theory. So in this chemoosmotic theory is mainly based on the gradient between inner mitochondrial membrane and intermitochondrial space. Here there is a chemical gradient will be forming between these two places. So due to more number of H plus ions present in the intermembrane space, so there is a pH gradient will be obtained in between these two places. So due to higher gradient of H plus ions here, so these H plus ions are trying to come inside through this ATP synthase. So this is the ATP synthase enzyme, so which is containing two important parts. So this is the first domain, this is the second domain. So this domain is called to be F4 domain and this domain is called to be F1 domain. F4 domain is called to be rotor. So why? Because it is always rotating. So the rotation is mainly depending upon the gradient of the H plus ions. And this rotor part which is attaching with stalk. So stalk also will be rotated. So when the rotor is rotated. And the second domain is called to be F1 domain. So this domain will be useful for catalyzing ATPs. So ATPs will be synthesized at this region. But here one important condition that ATPs will be synthesized that in the presence of H plus ions only. So if H plus ions are not coming inside, there is no formation of ATPs will be produced. It is mainly depending upon the number of H plus ions produced, the number of H plus ions which are entering into the matrix region. So this is about the chemoosmotic theory, so which is explaining about the oxidative phosphorylation process. So these are the inhibitors of electron transport chain. So we are having three important inhibitors: rotenone, so which is inhibiting complex 1, so which is NADH dehydrogenase complex 1 will be inhibited by rotenone. And the second one is antimycin, so which is inhibiting complex 3. So this is also called to be cytochrome reductase. And cytochrome B and so B2C1 is present in this complex. And cyanide and carbon monoxide, so these are the inhibitors will be inhibiting complex 4. So this is called to be cytochrome oxidase, so which is containing cytochrome, so cytochrome A2A3. So these are the inhibitors of oxidative phosphorylation. So we are having two inhibitors, so oligomycin, so which will be inhibiting the entering of H plus ions into the matrix region. The second one is actractoside, so which will be useful for which will be useful at F1 domain, and here it is inhibiting the process of formation of ATPs. So this is about inhibitors of oxidative phosphorylation. So this is the energy secret now I'm going to reveal. So before going to the energy secret, so we need to learn about the three systems which are working in our body. So these two systems are called, this is the first system, so which is called to be phosphogen system or ATP PCR system. And the second system is called to be glycolytic system. And the third system is called to be oxidative system. So these are the three important systems which are working in our body. In the first system, at the starting point, so 5 to 15 seconds or 100 meters, so this system will be activated. And at this time, so 95% of PCR, phosphocreatine, will be useful here to release the ATPs. And phosphocreatine is a phosphorylated compound which will be useful for releasing of ATPs by hydrolysis process. This is the starting point. It will be exist for about 5 to 15 seconds. And the second system is called glycolytic system. Here in this system, so glycolysis process will be occurred. So by the glycolysis process, here ATPs will be generated. But here also only 20%, so PCR will be utilized, phosphocreatinine, and 55% glycolysis will be utilized for release of ATPs, and 25% oxidative phosphorylation will be involved for the release of ATPs. But here these two systems are anaerobic. Here there is a less amount of oxygen is involved for these two systems to release the ATPs. The third one is called oxidative system. So this oxidative system will be working in the presence of oxygen, that we have learned already that electron transport chain so will be involved in this process. Here ATPs will be released inside the mitochondrial space. So here, so 90% of energy will be released from the oxidative systems. That means in the involving of oxygen, here 90% of energy will be released. So this is called oxidative system. Here marathon runners will be activating this system. So 90% of oxidative system will be activated for the marathon runners. So due to this system here, so in this system, so fats and proteins also will be involved, which will be burned and producing the long-term energy source. So that's why here The energy will be sustained for 4 to 5 hours, so by this oxidative system. So that's why marathon runners will be trained for 4 to 5 hours, and they are taking proteins and fats comparatively carbohydrates. So that's why they are activating the oxidative system. So this is the main reason for getting the energy source for the marathon runners. So this graph will be explaining how the marathon runners are getting the energy. So this green indicating oxidative system, and this is indicating glycolytic system, second system, and this is indicating phosphagen system or ATP PCR system. So ATP PCR system will be working very instantaneously. That means only 5 to 15 seconds it will be worked. Instant energy will be released. And glycolytic system will be working up to 120 seconds. So that means up to 1 to 2 minutes it will be present. But oxidative is the realistic is the main source of energy. So which is activated by the 90% of oxygen which is involved in this process by the electron transport chain. So marathon runners will be activating this third system. So due to activating this third system, here they are having 4 to 5 hours of energy, sustainable energy for the long period of time. So this is the end of the topic. Thank you.